Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Leadership in Politics with Dr. Abraham. I'm very excited as on the show with me today is Dr. Tom Horan, Dean of University of Redlands School of Business. Dr. Tom Horan, how are you?
I'm well. How are you?
Very good. Welcome to the show. A while back, before COVID, we had a lunch together and we talked about the arc of purposeful leadership. So, if possible, before we continue our talk, please tell us who is Dean Tom Horan.
I have been Dean of the School of Business at the University of Redlands since the summer of 2017. And so I'm just wrapping up my third year, and we've done a lot in those 3 years, and we're going to talk about one piece of it. Before that, I was Dean of the Drucker School of Management at Claremont Graduate University, where I was on the faculty for 25 years, and finally got convinced to go down the road to Redlands. And it's been a great experience since I arrived there.
Wonderful. As a witness to the success and achievements of you, Dr. Tom Horan, I do thank you on behalf of myself, faculty members, and our student population. Thank you and continue the superb work that you are doing.
Well, it's been a collective undertaking with the faculty, staff, support of the students. We've been able to get a lot done.
You are definitely doing a superb job, and I've seen the difference of what's happening now and versus the previous years. I've been a witness with the Redlands for almost 19 years in one capacity.
That's right. That's right. That's right. You're a veteran.
I never had the chance to tell you that in person, but here publicly, I acknowledge you. And in a show like this, I appreciate what you have done, and I shine a light on your achievement. The School of Business under your leadership has improved, thanks to you and your staff.
As you know, we've been able to do a number of things. Get our ACBSP accreditation, launch new degree programs, one of which we'll talk about in leadership, launch a spatial business initiative, the opportunity to talk about the leadership aspect of it.
Without a doubt, and thank you for taking the time to do that and talk about it. Now, as you know, in society changing, in leadership trends changing, and every now and then we have some new concepts that come into the play of leadership concepts and ideas. One of them is the purposeful leadership. You, under your helm and your leadership, the School of Business is taking the initiative and actually not only talking the talk, but you actually walk the walk by implementing the arc of leadership, of purposeful leadership. First, you established you initiated the arc, you had initiative of the arc, but then you put a business program, Master of Science of Business of Organizational Behavior, modeled around the arc.
Right.
Is that right?
Cornerstone of it, correct. Yeah.
Yes. So why is it important for leaders in today's society for them to be purposeful? First, we're going to talk about that, and then you jump us into, if you want, through the arc you created.
Well, I thought about starting a degree in aimless leadership. No, I'm kidding. But there wouldn't be much of a market. No, to the contrary, I've been thinking about it for a while, as actually my previous dean slot, and was certainly influenced during that time by the Drucker expression, management is doing things right, leadership is doing the right things. And that's really what it's about. It's one thing to have the trains run on time, so on and so forth, but leadership is about trade-offs, and you make trade-off decisions based on values, mission, purpose. And so it was just a delight that my colleagues at Redlands were so enthusiastic about using that as a cornerstone for our program, and actually the trustees and alumni supporting it. So it was, it's been off to a great start over the last 2 years. But you say, it's funny, old is new, because it's a classic thing. Yes. It's like that we measure our success one customer. There are some certain kind of classic elements of business that get kind of lost. And it can even get lost in business education, because things can be siloed into finance, and that kind of thing, all separately. But it's the holistic integration of it that really matters. And it was interesting when the Business Roundtable came out this last fall with the 300 organizations, large ones in the U.S., having a new statement of the purpose of business to not only be about having a profit, but the employees, the communities, the shareholders,
Yes.
suppliers. That's the business's ecosystem, and how the business behaves within that ecosystem goes a long way to understanding really the sustainability of that business.
So when we work on creating purposeful leadership, in a way, you bring this formula you just mentioned probably into the student, making the student part of the equation as well.
Right.
So in the private enterprise, we have the organization, customer, and employee.
Right.
Probably in academia, we bring the student, if that's a new,
Right.
not necessarily a new idea, but probably bring the student into the equation where the student also will contribute its value, her value.
Oh yeah, they're not in the audience. They're at the table.
They're on the table,
And
the discussion table.
in our capstone class on purposeful leadership, there's a number of classes that lead up to it. We have them take something on in their company and identify it, and then try and look at the readings, the discussions, and do something.
So the
And then
participants.
share it with the other students, because most of our students, great majority, are working adults. And so that gives it a certain kind of vibrancy, I think. It's
Yes.
not just about what's on a PowerPoint. It's how do I use this in order to make a difference in my life
So
and employees around me.
yeah, so it's an education with a purpose too.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
It's not just, oh, we got a degree. No, the degree is really purposeful. In addition to the fact they will be an important part of society.
Correct.
Let me bring the art of purposeful leadership to the screen.
Yes, the
See
art.
this? Okay. So here is the art.
Right.
It has 4 categories: self, teams, organizations, and society. What can you tell us?
Yeah, so when we talk about the arc, as you've just said, it really is this, going from the micro, the self, who are you, what are your values, et cetera, to teams, up to the organization, and the impact of society. And it's interesting, when we first started describing this, we tended to go in that left to right direction, but it's recursive. It goes the other way too.
Yeah.
And we're feeling it right now, right? Societal forces and pressures like a pandemic challenges organizations and have to respond, challenges teams, and certainly challenges individuals. And so the rebound is, how to organize, and you see the levels underneath that we go through when we have people do a kind of inventory of themselves, right, in their circumstance. And, like under self-management, character, it's not if you have character, but what is your character? Is how we like to describe.
Can you build the character too along the way? Is that part
Yes.
of the program?
There's a paper, that I had published in the Leader Journal that folks who are interested can read about it. But then it goes up through teams and clear team purpose, organizational management, and then social responsibility. I would say I will go to the bottom bullet on most of these, because there's a left brain side of this about what you need to do and stuff. But there's the other side, there's the emotive side, which is also important. Right now, we need compassion right now in these times. In teams, you need to trust the team. Trust is that secret. As my friend Molecule Paulzak has written about it. In organizations, organization is defined by its culture. And, it's the expression, culture eats strategy for breakfast, right? That if you've got a toxic culture, you can have the best plan in the world, and it's not going to happen. And conversely, you can have a medium plan, but you have committed people. And then the feeling of responsibility to community. So it is both strategic, analytical, and so forth, but it's also intuitive, emotive, cultural, and compassionate.
So you mentioned compassion, compassionate leaders and empathetic leaders. So this is really at the core of the arc. A leader is a must. He or she, they have to be compassionate as they lead their teams, themselves, and the organization into society. Is that really what it is?
Yeah, yes. And I would say, we've recently done some webinars on the arc of leadership in turbulent times and taken these dimensions and said, okay, what does it mean in these times? And, and that's why I said now more than ever, because people are facing health scares, may get COVID, or their families are working in healthcare, their kids are at home. You gotta have some compassion for colleagues and trust that they will get the job done. And that's the next one. Trust that they'll get the job done. They may work a little odd hours because of different things, but trust that they'll get the job done. And what we like to say is, coming out of this pandemic, what's the positive that can come out of this pandemic? There's a lot of tragedy in these deaths, but what's the positive for companies and organizations? I think that
What do you think the positive thing that could come up?
If you see it through, you really got to know your colleagues. You got to know what their rooms look like. You probably got to know what their kids look like.
Yeah.
You got to get to know what my dog looks like here. It creates, I think, a different kind of solidarity going through this. And I'm optimistic that coming out of it, people are going to remember that time, the hard part of it for sure. But they're also going to remember, how they worked with their colleagues to get things done. So I do think it won't kill you, it'll make you tougher, I guess. But we're in a tough time, and I think companies are and organizations, right? Because this applies to nonprofits, it applies to governments, because they have their own purpose.
Private enterprise.
So, yeah, all across.
By the way, at the University of Redlands School of Business, as I said, you walk the walk. You hear purposeful leadership and purposeful intentions everywhere now, but you actually did it. How are you going to connect with others, whether in academia or private enterprises? How are you doing this to let them know there's a program out there, not only to solicit students, that's the least thing I believe you have here. It's just to impact society. How did you reach to other leadership or leaders in academia, even in the private enterprise?
Yeah, well, I would say that, we see that we impact society actually first through our students because they're working in companies. And as we educate them, they go right back the next day and they start making a positive change in the company or organization. And before the pandemic came, we started with like a 10-minute, hey, could you come speak at our annual X, or to our executive group for 10 minutes or 15. And we'd go do that, and the engagement was there. And so then we started to offer more of a 1 hour and then a 3 hour where we would go over it. And then it was really interesting. We did it with healthcare. We'd go over it, the ARC, and then they'd have a breakout group on self, a breakout group on teams, organization, society, and they'll swing back and say, what does this mean for us overall that we need to do to be effective as an organization? And so we're really, are proud of that people are able to see value in it and run with it. And so that's what we were doing. We've gone more into the webinar mode, obviously, during this period. And we've done a series of events where we showcase certain dimensions of it. We had one on women in leadership, which
the event was very successful, and congratulations on that too. You did the women's event.
Yeah.
Was very successful. So as I look at the ARC, really in reality, you can do one category at a time. If we talk about the self by itself, it adds value to the individual, so they can improve. And if you put the same study, the same research for teams, they can improve. Organization the same, and society the same. But if you collectively put them together, it creates really the ARC, or the ARCs manifest itself. Itself.
Yeah. I would highlight, however, that it's the alignment that is a distinguishing feature, right? Because you can take a self-management, course or book, and or how to lead a good team, how to do a strategy. And our individual courses, when we do it that way, do that. But it's the alignment that makes the difference. So, you know, and I like to say, you know, we'd
How do you
all,
align it? How do you do alignment?
well, we'd all like to be in a perfect situation, which is I'm the perfect guy or gal in the perfect job with a perfect team, with a perfect mission, having a perfect impact. You know, and wouldn't that be nice, right?
Yes.
That's the ideal. Inevitably, there are higher and lower elements on it that affect the alignment. Example, I could feel really good about my job and I feel like I'm in the right place. I can really feel good about my team. We're doing the best we can. But you know, our organization's got mission drift, you know, so we're not able to do all that we can. Well, that's where the attention should be paid then, right? Or you can swing it the other way, right? It's a great cause and it's got a great strategy. It's kind of disorganized, as you know, as an organization and as a team, and people are unhappy. Well, then to reach alignment, you have to focus more on the front end. And that's what we've done with individual students and groups, is see where they are on these different alignment scenarios, and then work on which one seems to be a pinch point.
This program fits beautifully with the vision of the university. What you've had is align the purpose and the alignment. They align together with the vision of the university in general. So it's a perfect fit. So congratulations. Let's talk about anything else you want to add on the art.
No, I would just say, as the point you just made, that when I first kind of presented this to fellow deans, they said, hey, we do purposeful leadership too. I mean, we're educating teachers to make a difference.
Yeah.
We're educating undergrad liberal arts to go into the community and do service. I said, yes, you know, there's lots of room in the tent. And it's great that our university has that as its ethos. You know, before those words were used, purposeful leadership, and now people can say, yeah, here's how I can fit in, here's how I can contribute.
Proud that the university under your leadership actually is leading the way, because you hear them, as you said, you hear it everywhere. You actually put the blueprint, how to lead and how to put it into place. Let's talk about the School of Business. As we know now, and currently we have 7 campuses in Southern California, 6 to 7, and then we have recently within the last year, you have a new campus in Northern California.
Right.
I'd like to know what's happening, just briefly, what's happening within. What do you serve? Who do you serve as a School of Business?
Yeah.
But then after COVID, this is the follow-up question. After COVID, and we are going into an online education, how did you connect between a physical location or merge into an interactive online? And how do you see that trend?
It's not for the faint of heart, you know, particularly when you have a week to do it.
Yes.
Now, you know, fortunately, all of our faculty were using a platform that is suited to go online. So we had the infrastructure in place, and certainly we had a program that was already online. So we had some experience. So the faculty could transition their setting, you know, to the home setting, and the students out of the classrooms and into, you know, their homes. And we didn't lose a beat. And so we're very grateful about that, I'll tell you. And so the initial spring wave, and people were very flexible, of course. We were just trying to deal with it. And but we kept going. And in fact, even on the enrollment side, we just finished the year equal or above to last year. So there's still an appetite. We're still able to do our business. But we want to use it, and this is something I was alluding to earlier, to say, and this is what I've said to my colleagues, how do we come out stronger? You know, what can we be doing now that we can look back and say, because it is a break the glass environment, right? The status quo is gone. And so we're pushing like there's no tomorrow to fine tune our curriculum so that you turn it this way, it's online, you turn it this way, it's hybrid, you turn it that way, it's on ground. So we're going to have that flexibility coming out of this so that these aren't one-offs. And it's going to give more choices to students, and it's going to ensure the quality of it. And we're also, with the board support, which is very much appreciated given the climate, investing in technology. So over the summer, we're installing these high-tech, teaching learning rooms, which will have, near, like you're in the classroom. And they can be in the classroom just like they were there. So we really want to have a commitment coming out of this that, one, it's not going to go change overnight. And secondly, we're going to be more adept and more agile in offering on-ground, hybrid, online. And we expect by the end of, by fall 21, all three of those modes will be operative across our degree programs. And that's a big, we are all committed to quality education, and we're committed to the organization and to ourselves and to our colleagues and to our students. So, keep going, we do. But I would say that, it's funny, some people have said, when we've done these webinars for In Turbulent Times, one could surmise inaccurately at the management level, oh, the employees are goofing off or something like that, if they're not in the, in the building. For our organization, for the ones that I talk to, people are suffering from, WebEx, Zoom burnout. I mean, they're working, 8 till 9 at night, on one platform or another. I joked when I went in the other day, just because I had to sign some things. They said, how did it feel to be in the office? I said, it was relaxing.
The office is a new environment now.
It is.
That's true, though. But you know what comes to mind as you're saying these three options? So if I am enrolled in the School of Business, I can finish the program in 3 ways possibly. I can finish probably a class on ground, and then in the meantime, a week or so later, I can finish one online. So I can is that possible? Are you going to put that together when you combine both?
Well, that's the holy grail.
Okay.
And I think that, and we're taking it a step at a time. I like to think about it this way. Usually somebody should plan out the class they want to take and the mode they want to take. So if they want to take a class on ground, they can take it on ground. If they want to take another one, they can take another one. If they have reasons like they have a business trip or something, they say, can I take the next one, online? They can do that. As to the doing it on demand, I think we're going to treat that as a special case, so that if you are really sick and you want to remote in, right, you can remote in. Something called HighFlex, and we're kind of a version of that with just a little bit more stability, because our class is only 8 weeks long, and so it's much easier to say, okay, I'm going to take an on-ground one, next one hybrid because of this, and so on. But that's a tremendous amount of flexibility.
That's nice to hear. Now, I know, for sure, and I know because of my connection to the university, it offers an excellent education. And under your leadership, Keith, Christy, and Chrissy, it's going beyond what's the norms and what's the expectations. So definitely education is superb. Now, would it be, we always say we are serving Southern California. That's because of the limitation of our physical presence.
Right.
Anything with online?
Yeah. So
can we go nationwide? Let's give Redlands education to everybody. Can we do that? Seriously, can we do that under your leadership?
I do think on the quality, a lot of people really don't know the University of Redlands. When I went out there and I first told an executive, he said, how many students? I said, 1,200. I said, 1,200? Yeah. How many campuses? 8? How many faculty? Including, professional part, 100. And I jokingly, when I came home, I said to my wife, it's a real job. And so it is. We give the 5th highest amount of MBAs in Southern California, and so we've been at it. We do a student survey every year, and 95% say they'll recommend it to a friend or colleague. That's quite an endorsement. 1/3 of our students come from referrals. And so it's the positive word of mouth. Now, when you bring up our footprint, and certainly, our footprint is very strong in the Inland Empire. We have in Burbank, where you teach, we go there, we go down to Orange County, we go down to San Diego, and now we have the kind of special case in Marin. And so, yes, I jokingly said they thought we were the College of Redwoods up there,
Beautiful campus.
but you know,
Such a beautiful campus there.
it is. It's gorgeous. 14 acres. It's our Hogwarts. You know, it's up there on the hill, and we're going to do leadership retreats program up there. So we're excited about that. You know, it's always going to be a mixture. Schools like ours, unless you go the full-on Southern New Hampshire route, you know, or the full-on, it's always going to be a kind of a combination of the on-ground, hybrid, and online. And so certainly now that we're in Northern California, we're going to be promoting our online degree programs up there and our hybrid programs. And so, you know, that's a big area too, Marin, San Francisco. So we're pretty busy. We're pretty busy with that. We noticed that when we look at our online, a full online MBA, where we are out of region, down in Texas or Idaho or that, you know, it's because they know us. And so our secret sauce is the word of mouth, our reputation. And I think as we start to develop it in a more hybrid and online world, you know, we'll start to tilt that way.
It's becoming the norm now, as you know. It's the norm. So there's no more. I mean, physical education, on-ground education is there, but we're no longer just in on-ground university. We're becoming both.
Well, you know, one thing I think that this pandemic has shown, and I alluded to it a bit with work, you can have a real class,
Yes,
like this, right? And it's almost more democratic when everybody's, you know, and so I think coming out of this, I think we'll have meetings. Some of our meetings will be like this because they're almost more democratic. You get to see everybody in your Hollywood squares and, you know, participate. So I think it will be a new normal. And for our school, a lot of people like the idea of a class. You know,
yes.
The deal is one night a week, right? Because they're working. One night a week, 2 years, you get your MBA. One night a week, 18 months, you get your leadership degree. They like the routine.
We can still give them that class, but we can also do the online, which a lot of people, they want it that way because they're so busy, and they don't mind the exchange between
that's right.
students or even a professor.
And that's why I say when we're developing the program, we're going to have, if it's hybrid, it's 50% in the class, the regular class, and then online exercises. If you want online, it just moves the class online, and so you'll feel a consistency of the experience, and that's what I think people really want.
When are you going to open the school? You think the physical, the campuses? When? I know COVID determines the timeline. I know that, but
it changes every day. By the time this goes out, you know, I mean, the governor's supposed to make an announcement any moment today. What are we planning for?
Yeah.
Well, it's funny. A couple of months ago, we said we'll do hybrid, what we called the 50 in the class, and then exercise. And then if the pandemic comes, it'll be easy to step into hybrid 2, which would be, like I just said, what's the reverse, right? We've had to switch. Given where we are, we plan to be online with an online class and online exercises starting in September, or at least our first 8-week semester. Yeah, I mean,
at least you're planning for it. If it happens tomorrow we're opening.
Yeah, well, by designing the curriculum, that's how we can be nimble. If all of a sudden the sky is clear, well, we've got it designed perfectly. The class doesn't have to change.
Yeah.
I mean, for now, in the hopeful planning side, we're expecting to be on campus in 2021, January 2021. But that's in pencil. And if it comes earlier, we'll come earlier.
What's your message to students out there, University of Redlands students, to our students out there? What do I tell them?
Well, first, thank you. And particularly, you know, when I see them, and if some listen, watch this, I thank them, of course, for being a student, but also for their patience and flexibility. They had to move as quickly as we did, and many of them had many more trying circumstances hitting them all at once. And so I know the faculty, staff, students are just very grateful for our students and the way they behaved through all this. And I guess the second one is think like we have. In what ways can you come out stronger? How can you use this as an opportunity to reflect? about what you want in life, the extent to which, a business degree or another one helps you get there, how your family's doing, and the people around you. It is a time to both be concerned, but be grateful, right? And so we are, and I think that, and we're also very hopeful. I mean, you heard me plan. We're doing new things. We're investing.
Yes.
We just started a new MS in business analytics last week.
Congratulations on that too.
Yeah. So we're kind of happy warriors in these tough times, and really grateful for our students.
And we're telling them the university is behind them in case anything. They always connect to the campus.
Right. Right.
Yeah, although they're online or separated from the main campus or the campuses, they're not alone. They can always reach to someone at the main campus or through their local campuses as well.
Yeah, and I think my colleagues teaching say they kind of feel that, because everybody's at home for a long time, and so there's more chatter than ever, kind of in the online class, just to get some social, some social life.
What's your insights and actually message to other leaders in academia, other deans, other presidents of universities? What's your message to them?
Well, empathy. I mean, higher ed. I mean, next to healthcare, maybe next to travel, higher ed is everything's coming right at it right now. You have some of the trends, the demographic trends that were expected in the undergraduate, and then the virus, and then the economic aspect of it. It's not a job for a coaster these days. Not that it ever was. And so I think it's about the same thing. I guess the purpose part, just to remember why we're here, and I alluded to this also. Take a break, because it is.
How do you mean by that?
Oh, find something that just takes another part of your brain, because this is 24/7 consuming. I was like on the 70th day coming to my station here, and I stood up and I said, "My wife, I just can't do it." Yeah. And I went down to the ocean and just took a couple hours.
So the break is take time for yourself, energize yourself, and come back and do your magic again.
And I think as leaders, I was just doing this last night and the night before. Well, we need to say that to our colleagues too, that work for you. Hey, take a break. Go do something. And because it helps in the sustainability of it, because this is going to be a while, and I think we have to learn to take a deep breath every once in a while, and just,
welcome. Can we take this opportunity to invite them to connect with you to learn more about the art of purposeful leadership?
Oh, it'd be great. I could talk, and listen, all day. So orchestrate it however you want. And we can go in a little more detail, for example, through those different things, case studies, so on and so forth. And so it'd be great.
That's wonderful. Anything else you want to add before we?
Well, we just, in the spirit of keeping going, I mean, just we're going to have another event. It was going to be on ground, but it can't. So it's going to be a webinar with Paul Zak, who wrote the book, The Trust Molecule. A very well-known book, a prize-winning book, on August 15th. Another way to connect. And go to our website, redlands.edu/PLI. That gets you to the Purpose of Leadership.
Redlands.edu/PLI. Wonderful. I'd like to thank you. Thank you for making the time to share your insights with us. I'd like to thank you and thank your team, if I may take this opportunity, Keith, Christy, Chrissy, and everyone in the team. You, through your leadership, we're proud of the University of Redlands, proud of you, proud of what you are doing. Thank you so much.
My pleasure, and thank you. And we're proud of you. You're a great professor for us. I can't keep track of the awards we've given you, but every one of them is deserved. I can tell you, students speak so highly of you, and so we're proud to have you on our team. And
I'm proud as well. Thank you so much, and have a pleasant day. God bless.
Okay. You too. Bye.